a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Consumer QB Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. Got a great lineup for you today here, as always. Brandon Faust in the house, Mold Solutions. Also has a duct cleaning business we're going to talk about as well. And we got Martin Gramatica, former Super Bowl winner and Tampa Bay Buccaneer with Lifeguard Imaging, representing Lifeguard Imaging, offering those free heart scans for our audience. So coming up here shortly on the show, we'll be talking with these two gentlemen here in studio with us today. And we always like to feature our real estate listings, but before we do, I want to let you know about an event coming up at Brio Tuscan Grill, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Say hello to Chef Oscar Ramirez, Joey, the general manager, and they're going to hook you up with a free appetizer just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Go check them out at 2223 North West Shore Boulevard in Tampa. And we have on the third Thursday of the month, which is the 21st of March coming up, we're going to have our Consumer Quarterback Show networking event. We call it a gratitude party. We're bringing in all of our expert contributors, radio show personalities, real estate team. So come on out and hang out with us, fellowship. And we're going to have appetizers there. Of course, your cash bar available as well. Brio Tuscan Grill, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, I want to start off with something here today as well. I've been really immersing into, I'm teaching a class coming up on the 27th over at GTAR, and I've been immersing into negotiation strategy and tips. And I like to share it with my audience. This is kind of the stuff I teach a little bit, and a lot of it's based off of Chris Voss. Quick shout out to Chris Voss, FBI hostage negotiator. Yeah, on Wednesday the 27th, by the way, 10:30 to 3:30, I'm teaching over at Greater Tampa Realtors Auditorium. It's the location right there on Kennedy. You probably drove by it before, and 2918 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. I'm teaching a class called Win with Sellers, high-level skills that create clients for life, and it's ways that real estate agents can get more listings, help sell their listings, leads listings, leverage, handling objections, converting leads to appointments, and et cetera, moving through that sales process. The 7-step seller service cycle is what I'm going to be teaching at that class. So all realtors, you can register through your real estate board there. But I want to touch on, shout out to Chris Voss. He's a former FBI hostage negotiator. We had him on the show. He is also a wealth of information around negotiation. He wrote a new book called Full Fee Agent. Had a really awesome co-author on that book as well. But here's a quick little thing that you can do, kind of fun. So if you think about business and life as fun and interesting, and the way that you can kind of, because in life, you're in negotiation no matter what you do, right? You're in negotiating with your kids, you're negotiating with your wife, your family, your coworkers. You're always negotiating, but we don't really know it, and we don't really take it serious at some point. But here's a way that you can form new habits, right? When you form new habits, you want to practice in low risk situations. You don't want to wait till that big deal and try to put out some new theory or some new strategy, right? So you want to practice in low risk situations. So he talks about in this book how when you go into a hotel, for example, let's say you're traveling and you're going into hotels, and a way to get that upgrade, we all want to get upgraded to the suite or the penthouse, right? So how can we do that? Well, here's a quick 1, 2, 3 for you. 3 steps. Number 1. He says do what they call an accusation audit. Okay, so you're going to say an accusation audit, kind of like Eminem did in that movie where he's rapping and he's saying all the negative things about himself before the other person can. Yeah, I'm white. Yeah, I'm from a trailer park. Yeah, this and that, right? So he goes in. He says. You go in and say, I'm getting ready to ruin your day. He's talking to the concierge here, or maybe even the front check-in gal. Hey, I'm getting ready to ruin your day. I want to apologize up front. What are you doing? You're tricking their brain, their amygdala. Like, whoa, what's coming, right? Number 2, I know I might sound like a self-centered traveler, but, and I may want just something for nothing here, right? So you're setting them up. They're thinking, what is this guy going to be asking me, right? They're preparing for the worst. And then when you come with your ask, it seems very, very light compared to what it's setting it up. And then number 3 is, how much trouble would you get in if you upgrade me to a suite? Oh, a lot of times they're like, hey, great, fine, I can upgrade you to a suite. So it's a calibrated question, right? So that's a quick way to practice your negotiation. You can apply that in other places as well, but you got to practice to be ready, and that's tactical empathy. And what Chris Voss talks about is calibrated questions. So that's a calibrated question. How much trouble would you get in if you upgraded me to a suite? So there you go. There's a quick tip, negotiation tip there from the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. And we got Brandon Faust in the house. Before we do, just a quick listing here. We'll let you know about one of our properties. This is a commercial listing at 6901 46th Avenue North, St. Petersburg. This is a commercial property, corner lot location. You have a mixed-use building here. You got commercial up front, single-family residence in the back, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-car garage, just under 1,000 square feet. It does qualify for a homestead exemption as well. You also have outdoor space suitable for RV, boat, or work truck storage, investment opportunity, potential for businesses as well, and a great opportunity. 6901 46th Avenue North, St. Petersburg, Florida. Corner lot location, 40 to 50,000 vehicles a day passing by, and a great opportunity there to buy real estate. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, we got Brandon Faust, Mold Solutions, back in studio. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much. Always enjoy being here, talking to your audience.
Yeah, man, and we appreciate you coming in and sharing, the insides of your business, the insights that you come up with. A lot of people don't realize, but mold is out there. We're in a very humid environment here in South Florida and Tampa Bay, and with your duct cleaning business, you see another side of it as well, getting up there and cleaning those ducts. The pictures you were showing me before the show were like, wow.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an awakening for me as well, to be completely honest with you, just because, I've been in the mold business now for 7 years, but there's an aspect of it that has been sort of off limits as a mold remediation company, which is the HVAC system. So here in Florida, if you do not have an HVAC license, you're not allowed to go into the ducts, you're not allowed to go into the actual air handler or any of those things. So it's off limits for us. And on the reverse side of the coin, if you're in HVAC and you don't have a mold license, you cannot say, oh, that's mold, or, hey, mold is something that we handle. It's actually against the law, right? So it's against the statutes of Florida. So you have this tremendous disconnect that is legislatively created, where one of the most important factors of indoor air quality is your HVAC system. It's undeniable how much of an influence it has. It's really like the heart of your home, and those ducts are the arteries.
Right.
So if that system is contaminated with mold, it doesn't just stay there. It's going to go through the entire body or the entire building envelope.
Right.
So it will blow out. So if you have HVAC contractors where their end result and the product that they're trying to actually achieve more than anything is cooling your air here in Florida. That's really what they're there to do, is cool your home down. But they're not thinking of the end result of your indoor air quality. Then they're not necessarily going to focus on making sure that your system is as clean as it needs to be. And they're usually, what they propose as a handling is selling you a UV light or selling you a whole home purifier, which is not bad. Those are not bad things, but it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to handle an HVAC system that has been infiltrated and is now infested and is basically contaminating the rest of your home. It will not handle that.
Right. Well, I want to go back. When you originally started talking, Brandon, you were mentioning that you, as a mold company, are not technically supposed to go into the HVAC system and open it up, and then vice versa with the HVAC system. So I wonder why. I wonder why it's in that way. Why is it separated that way?
It's probably to protect interests is my guess. I don't really have a good answer, other than there is also, it could get muddy, it could get messy if you don't have the training, right? So we handled that in Mold Solutions by basically getting the HVAC license and having a separate company, Real Duct Cleaning, that does the duct cleaning end of it and does the HVAC end of it, and then Mold Solutions, which does the mold remediation end of it and the small particle, the fine particle cleanup. Okay. So you have this ultra-fine particle that mold releases in spores and the actual poisonous substance. It's called a mycotoxin. Myco being the Greek word for fungus and toxin, something poisonous. Right. So you have these ultrafine particles that get released by colonized mold. So you have to clean that up. You have to make sure that that's addressed as part of any sort of remediation project that you're going to do. And when really we got into it from the perspective of, look, if you have mold in a home, then you should clean the ducts as part of any sort of mold job. Right. And honestly, if you're doing any sort of deconstruction, reconstruction, new construction, you potentially could wind up with, the silica dust, the drywall dust in your system, which has its own potential for health hazards as well.
Right.
So, yeah, doing a duct cleaning is a smart thing to do as part of any mold remediation job.
Yeah.
What we didn't know was just how bad the majority of the HVAC systems actually are in regards to how much mold is in the HVACs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll see like brown or green dots on the registers or on the vents, right? And that's your first kind of sign. But that's your last sign in terms of where it's growing.
Yeah.
So we've been in homes where you're not seeing any of that. You're not seeing it in the windows. You're not seeing it on the fins. But you start looking deep into the ducts with like an instrument that has a camera. It's got a long, line, has a camera on the end of it, and you can start looking into the ducts. Or better yet, you get up into the attic.
Yeah.
And you look into the mixing boxes, and you put a little hole in there, and you put the boroscope into the mixing box. And my goodness, that is like a science project that has been in your home.
Petri dish.
Yeah, Petri dish. Contaminating your air quality for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Right? So, when you're waking up with like congestion, joint pain, headaches, you go outside, you feel better, these types of things, there's this, this fatigue or rashes that are unexplained, and it's like, seasonal allergies, eczema. Man, I would absolutely be looking in the HVAC system for microbial growth.
Right.
And the unfortunate part is that many of the HVAC contractors are not allowed to say that's mold.
Right.
Truthfully, even as a mold contractor, I'm not allowed to say, hey, that's mold. All I can say is that's suspect growth. Right. The only person that can actually say officially that it's mold is a lab that has put it under a microscope and is looking at it. Now, with that said, if you see green fuzzy stuff, green, black, white, and the chances are probably that it is mold.
Yeah.
Right. But you might want to verify it. Some homeowners are like, look, I know what I'm looking at. Okay, well, we can handle that either way.
Yeah. And we're talking with Brandon Faust here, Mold Solutions, on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Longtime friend of the show, local company here. We always talk about supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show, and all of our 35 plus, 40 plus expert contributors, 80 categories of consumer advocate content here on the daily. So Brandon Faust, Mold Solutions, and let's take a quick break there. But when we come back, I want to talk about some of the challenges that you talk about, the health risk, and you also talk about don't do it yourself in a lot of cases because it will spread. So I want to touch on those two categories as well coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at Brandon Rhymes1 at CQB Show. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brandon Rhymes Realty, or you can search, of course, Consumer Quarterback Show. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone. And it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite. Sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here in studio with Brandon Faust, Mold Solutions. We're going to talk with him more in just a moment. I want to let you know about the Great American Cigar Tour with Sebastian Gorka. It's coming up on Tuesday, March 19th. The main event starts at 7 o'clock. Doors open at 6:30. It's going to be over at the Corona Cigar Company in Tampa, which is right there on Boy Scout Boulevard. Some people refer to that as Restaurant Row. Lots of restaurants over there. Sponsored by Wired Differently and Corona Cigar Company. TheAnswerTampa.com is where you can get tickets. TheAnswerTampa.com. And it's always great to see, when the fellas come into town, Dennis Prager, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, and the team. It's always great to see those folks coming in town and supporting AM 860 The Answer with this event. The Great American Cigar Tour with Sebastian Gorka coming up on the 19th. Save the date and reach out for tickets. They'll get you in touch at theanswertampa.com. Doors open at 6:30. Reserve your spot now for an evening filled with insight, laughter, and camaraderie at theanswertampa.com. All right, we got Brandon in studio. A couple of hot listings here, and then we'll jump right back into this conversation around Mold Solutions. So we've got a property listing at 1919 West Lemon Street in Tampa. This is a beautiful single-family home. You have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow in North Hyde Park. Beautiful wood flooring. This property has a new AC that ensures you're comfortable living for years to come. Close to UT, downtown Tampa, Soho. You have a 2-car garage as well, electric door opener, close to UT, Tampa International Airport, Buck Stadium. Great location at 1919 West Lemon Street, North Hyde Park. Another one of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team. 1515 Bayshore Boulevard. This one's in Dunedin. Dunedin is one of the most sought-after areas in all of Tampa Bay. Dunedin is a beautiful little town on the Intercoastal Waterway there. 1515 Bayshore Boulevard, unit number 11. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 649 square foot condo nestled in the heart of Dunedin, Florida. Complete with updated floors, beautiful updated bathroom, large kitchen, plenty of cabinets. You have amenities with a community pool, and close to downtown Dunedin and Honeymoon Causeway. Close access to Pinellas Bike Trail as well. 1515 Bayshore Boulevard, unit number 11. And you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, we got Brandon Faust in studio with us. And Brandon, we talk about sometimes people want to DIY certain aspects of their real estate or their termite and pest control, things like that. But when it comes to mold, it is a very interesting scenario. Can you talk about some of the concerns you have there?
Of course. I mean, one of the things that, hit me hard when I first got into mold was that mold is a living, breathing organism. And just like anything else, it wants to survive. So anything that is surviving and has continued to survive has probably some sort of defense mechanism built into it, right. Survival instincts built into it. So when you attack mold, it will actually release a poison to defend itself. And on top of that, and that's the mycotoxin,
yep.
And then on top of that, it's going to release the spores for the progeny to go on and continue the species. Yet both the spore and the mycotoxin is something that causes health issues. So when you're dealing with mold, you're dealing with, what we see is colonized mold. It's like we can see it with the eye. It's on the walls. It's in the HVAC. It's wherever it is. And a little bit of mold maybe in the shower is like, okay, just, wipe it down, a lot of times it's going to come back, because if you're wiping it down, you're actually spreading the spores into other areas of the grout, and it's going to get what it needs to start growing. And most people don't realize that. But am I super concerned about cleaning it like that? Yeah, not such a big deal. But the real question is, where is it coming from? What's the source? Right. And usually if it's in the grout or it's in the window seals, it's most likely coming from the HVAC. That same type of mold you'll find infested in the HVAC, and the spores are getting blown around and landing in any place where there's moisture. So when you do a do-it-yourself mold project, a lot of people are not thinking with all the ingredients that go into a proper remediation project, meaning containment, setting up, air control, making sure that there's a massive vacuum blowing the air out, the contaminated air out, making sure that the rest of the home is protected against cross-contamination, doing, precision cuts, not just going in there like a barbarian and tearing everything out and then creating a mold explosion, properly treating the mold. And a lot of people think it's overboard, but it's not when you actually realize the health risks that are connected with mold. Yeah. And some people think it's almost like a sham or a scam or not really that big a deal. And hey, maybe those people are not super sensitive to it, but what about the people that are? Right. That do go into that environment and are negatively impacted and in some cases debilitated. Yeah. Right. So you really have to err on the side of caution and make sure that the people that are immune compromised or the people that do not do detox from mold are also safe and protected from the potential cross-contamination. Not to mention there's the long-term effects of exposure that you may not be thinking with because you're not feeling it immediately. But when you look into mycotoxins and what they've been connected to, you have things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, and even cancer. So you really have to think with that. And before you go into doing it yourself, like what all goes into it, having the proper PPE, proper personal protection equipment, and making sure that the space is properly cut off from the rest of the home, and then also really doing a proper whole home detox, because that mold didn't stay there. Like I have a guy that I follow on social media that was using an instrument that puts out almost like a smoke, like a vape does, right? But you just press a button and it's like releasing smoke, and you can put it into sort of nooks, cranny, crevices, and next to the HVAC, and how much air the HVAC pulls in, when you have that device going, or how much air is getting blown out of your electrical sockets, or potentially where your laundry room is located, or your recessed lights, how much air in terms of positive pressure or negative pressure. So that stuff that's in those sort of spaces that are unclimatized, which have a lot of potential microbial growth or mold, is now entering the building envelope or getting sucked into the HVAC and then being spread throughout the rest of the building envelope. So these are things that you really need to be thinking with when you're doing, mold remediation or duct cleaning for that matter. Right.
Yeah, and we're coming into the warmer time of year, too, so you don't want to leave these homes closed up. A lot of times the folks from up north, they don't realize the extent of our humidity and the heat and how it can really wreak havoc on a vacant home. If you just close it, shut the doors, turn the AC off, or turn the power off completely, we've seen it in real estate, and I'm sure you've seen it, Brandon, where a lot of times you come back and the house is infested. We got about a minute left. Why don't you summarize everything for us, duct cleaning, mold solutions, and talk about how people connect with you.
Sure. I mean, one thing that the listener should have access to, Tampa Bay, it is a place where there's a lot of moisture. So I wrote a book specifically for this type of climate, right? It's Mold-Free Living, How to Prevent Mold in a Humid Climate, and they can find that at moldebook.com, moldebook.com. It's a free download, and it goes over 15 action points from going through over 3,500 homes in this area and what is causing mold. And the most economical way to handle mold is to prevent it from happening in the first place.
Moldebook.com, Brandon Faust, Mold Solutions. Always a wealth of information. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And what's the name of the duct cleaning company?
RealDuctCleaning.com. Real Duct Cleaning.
Ductcleaning.com.
And that's real as in legitimate, not like fishing reel. A lot of people might be, especially in Tampa Bay. REAL. Yeah.
All right, good stuff, Brandon. Thanks for coming in, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. All right, taking a quick break. Coming back, Martine Gramatica in studio with us, Lifeguard Imaging. And we're going to talk about saving lives from Super Bowl winner and Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Now saving life lives with Lifeguard Imaging coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback.